Hello and welcome to Griffith TV. I'm Jackson Potter and as always joining me,
I'm Ashley Hilton. We've got some big stories for you tonight, but first up we've got Rebecca Roach with the national news.
Thanks Ashley. Good afternoon everyone. The number of swine flu cases in Australia has leapt by more than 100 in the last 24 hours, pushing the national toll to 406. More than 3/4 of those are in Victoria, where a 12th school was closed yesterday. There are fears tonight's State of Origin Rugby League match could spread the virus as fans travel to and from Melbourne's Docklands Stadium. In other news, Brazilian Air Force planes have found debris floating in the Atlantic Ocean, where a French airline went missing with 228 people on board. The evidence has extinguished any lingering hope of finding survivors, and now authorities are focused on recovering the plane's black box to piece together what happened in the final moments of the flight. And finally, in financial news, Australia has dodged an official recession, according to growth figures out today. The Australian Bureau of Statistics says the economy grew 0.4% in the first 3 months of this year, defying earlier expectations that a contraction was close to certain. The surprise result means Australia has escaped 2 consecutive quarters of economic contraction, the definition used by some economists for a technical recession. And that's the latest national headlines. Back to you, Jackson and Ashley.
great stories for Australia there.
It has been on the drawing board for years now, and finally a $365 million commitment in the recent federal budget will mean that a rapid transit system will come to the Gold Coast. Next up, we have Rebecca Roach reporting more.
In Australia's fastest growing city, a rapid transit system will come as relief to Griffith University students who fight an ongoing battle with parking and traffic congestion. By 2013, light rail will connect Griffith University to Broadbeach and will carry hundreds of students per hour. Southport Councillor Dawn Critchlow said this morning.
Well, there's $385 million given by the federal government. Will certainly once again help the light rail get on track to be finished by 2013.
Griffith University Pro Vice-Chancellor Max Standage said the transit system will make the university more accessible.
I think it will get a significant number of people who would otherwise drive here coming here by the rapid transit system. When you look at the number of passengers you can put on one of these trains compared with those passengers in a car, it's something like 50 to 1.
Students living at the Griffith University Village will now be able to access central parts of the Gold Coast, including Broadbeach and Surfers Paradise. How do you think a rapid transit system would benefit you?
Well, with the parking system at the moment, it would improve it a lot because it's a nightmare.
Parking's really restricted, so it's a bit difficult for students sort of to make their classes on time.
I drive now, but it would help out a lot because the monorail would go often, so I could park at Harbour Town and make the parking better here.
There are plans for 2 stops at Griffith University, with the light rail running through the campus every 7 minutes. Rebecca Roach reporting.
That's great news for the Gold Coast.
Now over to Emily Blake with some local news.
Thank you, Jackson. Making news on the Gold Coast this afternoon, fuel prices will rise in Queensland by an extra 8 cents a litre in the coming weeks after Anna Bligh announced the government is ending its fuel subsidy. The cost-cutting measure is set to save the government more than $500 million a year. The Premier said the money saved will go towards running schools, hospitals, police and other vital services. The men accused of murdering a Robina couple on the Labor Day long weekend appeared in Southport Magistrates Court yesterday. Vladimir Garcia and Cameron Stewart will remain in custody until the committal hearing, which is set to be held in November. A Griffith University student has contracted the swine flu virus, bringing the number of Gold Coast cases to 9. A swine flu clinic opened in Southport to relieve the pressure on the hospital's emergency department, but only 8 patients attended the clinic in its first day of operation. Back to you, Ashley and Jackson.
Thanks, Emily. Shark attacks on the Australian shores have brought fear into beachgoers. But new technologies are bringing new evidence to show that bull sharks are not as prominent as once thought. Matt Condy has more.
One of the most feared creatures on the planet, and they may be in your backyard. With 2 fatal attacks since 2002, Gold Coast canals have been labelled a bull shark danger spot. Griffith University's state-of-the-art research program aims to defy this myth through tracking the bull shark and monitoring its behaviour. Griffith PhD student Jonathan Weary is heading up the program and has always had a passion for marine life.
I love the sea, anything to do with the sea, and the sharks is a pertinent issue on the Gold Coast, particularly, the bull sharks. Everyone's concerned about them being in the canals. There's a lot of misunderstanding and myths surrounding the way sharks use coastal areas, and that's basically been the focus of our research, to dispel some of those myths based on science rather than hearsay and people's opinion.
Mr. Weary uses state-of-the-art satellite tracking devices to capture and record information about bull sharks. Tonight's mission, in conjunction with SeaWorld, aims to secure sharks for a new awareness exhibit. Mr. Weary believes this to be imperative in dispelling myths about the threat of bull sharks.
So the reality is they're not out there trying to attack everyone that falls into water. In fact, I've swam in water where I couldn't see more than a metre, but I knew there was bull sharks around me. My personal opinion is there's not that many sharks at all in the canals from what our research basically shows.
The facilities he uses here have been instrumental to the success of his bull shark tracking program, which began in 2005.
Well, basically this project couldn't have been undertaken without the university support and likewise SeaWorld support.
The program will be expanded to offshore destinations in the near future. Matt Condy reporting.
Some excellent footage there. So we've got the State of Origin on tonight. Who are you going to be backing, Ashley?
Definitely the Blues. I think they've got a stronger team.
I think the Maroons might just get up tonight. Over for more sports news with Matt Condy.
Thanks very much, guys. I'll be on the Blues all the way. Queensland will start overwhelming favourites for tonight's State of Origin opener against New South Wales in Melbourne, as the Maroons seek a record fourth consecutive series win. Queensland welcome back skipper Darren Lockyer into the side, which won last year's series 2-1, with Test centre Justin Hodges also returning from injury to strengthen a team that boasts 10 incumbent Australian stars. New South Wales, meanwhile, will field a younger side filled with 7 rookies and skipper Kurt Gidley as the most inexperienced New South Wales captain in 20 years. Both camps make their final preparations today for a game that most punters are expecting to be a maroon whitewash. The Wallabies start their very busy international campaign for 2009 with an opening match against the French-based Barbarians at the Sydney Football Stadium on Saturday night. The low-key clash has been highlighted by the fact that ex-rugby league superstar Sonny Will Williams will play for the Barbarians at outside centre. It will be the first time Williams plays on Australian soil since his controversial walkout on the Bulldogs midway through last year. In a bizarre twist, former Australian captain and long-serving flanker Phil Waugh will lead the Barbarians in the match and go head-to-head against his career rival George Smith. In cricket, Mitchell Johnson claimed 4 wickets to lead Australia to victory against New Zealand in a World 2020 warm-up match in England yesterday. Johnson took 4 for 20 off 4 overs to restrict the Kiwis to a total of 147. Australia reached the target with 4 balls to spare thanks to a 104-run stand between captain Ricky Ponting and his deputy Michael Clark. That's the latest in sport. I'm Matt Condy.
Well done, Aussies, once again showing you what Australia's got.
Now, from protests to debates, local students experience the real deal of political campaigning during the semester. So what exactly does a university political campaign involve? Christy Dixon and our team went to find out.
Griffith University students on the Gold Coast today celebrated the end of their third year subject, Campaign Strategies. In a mock political election, students were teamed up to form parties within local federal electorates. Over 2 weekends, candidates and their team members came together for a community event.
Oh, look, I think the events were the best I've ever seen. Everyone was really enthusiastic. There was lots of colour and movement. People put in 110%, so that was by far the most gratifying.
I definitely had to sit on a giant fuzzy dice. I've never done that before, so that was a lot of fun.
I got really involved in the games, especially the throwing jelly at Fern Gully, which is really fun.
Party members created a fun and exciting day for onlookers with stalls full of lively games, food and prizes.
What an awesome atmosphere, and we got so much food.
Probably seeing everyone, all the hard work that they've done.
Just everything coming together. We've all been working really hard on this.
I'm always glad when courses are over. I put in a big effort into teaching and organising, and it always takes a lot out of you. Yeah. But yeah, every student cohort's different. You remember different students from different years for different reasons. But I'll certainly remember this cohort because they were just so enthusiastic. It was great.
Have a few beverages.
Don't ask us how we're going to celebrate.
12 weeks of hard work has finally come to an end. Christy Dixon, Griffith TV.
Well, that looks like a lot of fun. That's all we've got for the show today. I'm Jackson Potter.
And I'm Ashley Hilton. Thanks for joining us at Griffith News.